The Man Whore Podcast is sponsored by HotMovies.com. Try out some ethical paid-for porn for free with none of those hidden fees or secret recurring subscriptions when you sign up at HotMovies.com/bonus and use the promo code MANWHORE. I want to thank Tushy for sponsoring the Man Whore Podcast. Get 10% off your own easy-to-install bidet attachment and leave the toilet feeling fresh and clean. Visit HelloTushy.com and use promo code MANWHORE. Now let's get to the show.
Welcome to the Man Whore Podcast.
What's up, you casual cum drinkers and boozy blood brunchers? This is Billy Presida, and you are listening to the Man Whore Podcast. Hello, everyone. Blood bruncher, is that a thing? I think my special co-host for this intro just invented it because that sounds like the perfect thing to call a dude who eats pussy when she's on her period on Sundays.
Is that me? Are you introducing me?
Yeah, Andrea Allan, everybody.
Hi. Drink my blood, cucks.
She's back.
Eat the clots.
Oh, God.
Have you ever gotten a clot in your mouth before?
Like a blood clot?
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
Oh.
Sometimes when I'm like taking a bath and I'm on my period and I'm just like letting it rip.
Red. I can't. I haven't felt
blood
this.
Clot your safe word?
I haven't felt this much physical revulsion. And I'm not squeamish. I do not vomit easily, but I have not felt this squeamish since Margot Reese was talking about cutting up dicks.
Sometimes you find a good clot and you're like, oh, that's a good size one.
You know, it's when you just said, like, have you ever swallowed a blood clot? And I was like, oh.
Listen, I understand why. I do have a bit about how men should eat us out on their periods if they expect us to drink their cum, which I like kind of mean. Well, I don't know. I understand that blood is a next level thing. I think blood and it depends. It depends on how much blood.
If I'm eating a burger and there's like a little like heart, you know, there's like calcium deposits, then you could. Yeah, I get weird when I just come across one of those.
Yeah.
Okay, a blood clot. Anyways,
I think I don't. It depends on how much blood.
Oh, Andrea.
I've also I've gotten cut during sex before, and that's kind of fun too. I don't know.
Fun?
Yeah.
It's fun? Okay.
Oh, am I upsetting the prude Billy Presida?
Absolutely.
One time, do you want to hear about this? One time, this guy, probably one of the best lays I've ever had, he like ripped out my tampon, and as a joke, he took the bloody tampon and drew a heart on his forehead with it. And I was like, damn, that's funny. You're fun. You don't get squeamish easily. You know he's going to be a good lay.
You know, it wasn't the blood. It was the clot of the blood part.
Yeah, the clot's
That's
lot.
what got me. Hey, everyone. So Andrea's here, co-hosting my intro.
Hey, guys.
We just finished recording a really great bonus episode that went twice as long as I planned, where Andrea tries to convince me I'm a sex and love addict.
I'm not trying to convince you. I'm simply offering you a qualifying quiz where every single answer should have been yes, but you still said no to some of them.
Because I'm a filthy liar. And I cannot wait to share and talk a little bit more about our bonus episode in a bit. But first, show dates, people. Show dates. Okay. October 21st, I'm going to be at the Grizzly Pear at 8 o'clock. That's a free comedy show down in Greenwich Village. Then Los Angeles. Hey, you.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, LA people. What's up? November 4th. I know it's already in your calendar because I told you to put it there, and you listen to me because you respect what I say. November 4th, to remind you, we're doing the Man Whore Podcast live in LA at the Dojo of Comedy in Hollywood. I have been told I need to say this part. I do not understand why it's a big deal, but there's free parking.
That is a big deal in LA, yes.
I was told by my producer, you have to say there's free parking because people will be into it.
Totally.
So I'm like, okay, there's free parking, everyone.
Yes.
Get your tickets.
I went to LA recently, and I don't even drive a car, but I was with friends who drove a car, and holy shit, is that a big deal. I mean, this is going to be a great fucking show, but what a, one less pain in the ass thing for people to come out.
And I'm going to be on stage with at least 3, maybe even 4 of my past partners.
Are they LA people?
Yeah.
God, who haven't you fucked? Do you have someone in every city?
No. But like, you know, I travel.
Sure. God.
You know, look, I want the show to be big enough that I can just afford to take you with me to do live shows in whatever city, you know?
Every show, it's you and me being like, fuck off.
Well, I did book, like, the first person is, 2 of the women are comics, but one of them is, like, going to be the Andrea Allan role, the Rachel Schenck role.
Okay.
Where you're, like, the comedic, where at the end, everyone's going to say it ended up being her show. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that's going to be great. If you want tickets to that, so that's November 4th, 7 p.m. in Hollywood. Go to manwhorepod.com/tickets. Get yours today. And I'm very happy and proud and thrilled to announce that we have a sponsor for the show. I want to thank Motor Bunny.
Hell yeah.
We all know what the Motor Bunny is a fucking kick-ass sex toy.
Is that the thing I sat on?
Yes, it is.
Wow, that thing is cool. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to sit on it in front of your fans at the after party.
For too long?
Yeah, because I'm like, this is about to get very vulnerable. It's an amazing thing. The power. I didn't even have it on full speed.
And she was only on the grinding pad. She didn't even have anything inside her.
Yeah.
And she could tell how kick-ass this toy is. And you all know the deal. $50 off with promo code MANWHORE at motorbunny.com. So thank you to them for sponsoring it. But if you are in the LA area, you want to hang out with me. Maybe you want to hang out with some fellow fan whores. Shoot me an email, manwhorepod@gmail.com, because we're putting together a little hangout, and I'd love to see you there. Speaking of show dates, Andrew, do you have any shows coming up?
That's so funny that you asked.
Any spots?
Me and my blood clots are going to be doing.
Is that what you call the fans of your show? The blood clots?
I should.
The hot mess blood clots?
It is a hot mess. When you have a blood clot in your fucking life, it's something you got to clean up. You got to scrub your bathtub. And that's how I feel about my fans.
By the way, hey everyone, I respect you so much more than she respects her blood clots.
No, I love them. I eat them. Blood in, blood out, you know? So I am doing my first hour of stand-up comedy in my entire comedy career. I'm very excited. This is going to be a landmark event for me at Gutter in Brooklyn on October 13th. So that's this coming Saturday. I'm recording it to release an EP, which is really exciting. There's another comedian opening for me, Daniel Simonson, who is wonderful. The co-host of my podcast, Emily Lubin, the Hot Mess Comedy Hour co-host, is going to be there hosting the show itself. So it's going to be a packed lineup. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really, really proud of what I've put together, and I think it'll just be a party night. You know, Come see me. Do stand up, come hang out with my blood clots. Gutter is a really cool venue too. I think Billy will be there.
I will be there.
Yeah,
I'm very excited.
The ticket links are in the bio of my social media, which is Andrea_Allan88 or Hot Mess Comedy Hour on Instagram and Andrea Comedy on Twitter. I'm posting about it everywhere, so you can find it easily.
And if you don't like social media, you're going to see a link to that ticket page in these show notes of this show, okay, right underneath my LA show. So if maybe you want to check out both shows, go buy tickets to both, and then fly to whichever coast you need to for the other.
Give us all your money.
Give us all your money and come,
please. Oh, that's all I need in this world.
Money and come.
Money, come, and clots.
So some great shows coming up from 2 of probably your favorite hot messes in the industry.
I think so.
But you know, it was a bigger hot mess for the country. Holy shit. We have Justice Brett Kavanaugh.
Is he in?
Oh, yeah, he got sworn in yesterday. The confirmation vote was Saturday. They immediately swore that motherfucker in. And he is on there, everyone. Get your IUDs.
Yeah.
Because abortion's going to be harder to get.
Yeah. As a Canadian, I offer to
smuggle over to the border.
You guys over. Actually, my mom literally said that to me. Not even with the recent events, just when Trump became president, my mom was like, listen, you can always come back home to Canada and get abortions. Don't worry about it. It's a really scary and sad time for women in this country.
Yeah. I mean, he had, it was like 3 accusers. Mm-hmm. And, you know, who knows if there are others out there.
Sure.
And again, and whether there be rape accusations or just, it seems like he was just like not cool, chill with women.
He's not.
It's because like the most violent one seemed to be the Dr. Christy Ford one.
Sure,
that didn't succeed in the rape.
Yeah.
Which the one small thing that I found, whatever, was she kept being like, yeah, if he hadn't been drinking that night, I believe he would have raped me.
Yeah.
And then we go back, limp dick Kavanaugh. I think we all missed an opportunity to shame him.
Well, it's just, okay. I mean,
a real man would have been hard and able to rape her.
God. His general behavior towards women is obviously disgusting, but just purely from the standpoint of like, is this a person who has a moral quality to them to be in the Supreme Court, who is yelling at other people when they're questioning him? I like beer.
Do you like
beer? It's like he behaved like a petulant child.
She missed such a great opportunity to own him, and I felt like it looks like she was holding it back, and I wish she had it. But I think Senator Klobuchar, she was the woman who went like, "Have you ever blacked out?" And she could have just said like, I'm not nominated to be on the Supreme Court.
Yeah, he's not. He doesn't like carry himself with much dignity, and it's also like to be accused of something like that is a very, very serious thing, and to come in with such a angry, spiteful, like it just doesn't. I like think about him and then Ruth Bader Ginsburg together, and I'm like, these are people completely from different leagues of like career achievements, how hard they've worked, how much decorum they have. Like he's a fucking loose cannon. And for that alone, people should be embarrassed.
Yeah,
by him.
the lying is already disqualifying. You can like choose not to believe that he did any of that, and he still lied. I've never blacked out. Come on, come on, honey. It just infuriates me. And then there's still people.
And of course he did all that shit. Of course he did it. Come on. I can never say with 100% certainty because I wasn't there. But like, I actually saw a graphic that was really interesting, and I posted it on my Instagram about false accusations. And it's just like I
never liked that though. That side of the thing where they go like, well, this is how many are false accusations. I'm like, well, how'd you measure it if they're false? Like, what, you're talking about proven false accusations? I don't think that statistic's the most reliable thing either. But the whole point is that there's way more actual things than the false accusations.
Okay, but what I liked about this graphic was it was like color coded. So the main graphic was like rape, people who have raped, and that made up almost the whole graphic. Right. Then in a like a darker color, it was the rapes that had been reported, which was a tiny fraction of the huge group. And then there was I believe arrested. Yeah, and it was like maybe like say there were like 300, the arrested were like 3. And then the false accusations are down on the quarter, and there's 2 of them. So it's what bothers me about the way men are reacting to Me Too and the hysteria around false accusations is the immediate knee-jerk reaction to realizing that there's a systemic problem with women being raped and demoralized in our society is, how does this affect me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's such an entitled, selfish, fucking ridiculous. And also, the people who are like, who hasn't ever blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, then you have. Then you've done something shitty, and this is now about you and worrying about covering your own ass instead of like, oh my God, this is horrible. Like, I can't believe how bad this really is. A lot of people don't want to face the reality of how bad this really is, and you're a fucking coward. You should be embarrassed.
Also, all these like Fox News talking heads, these white Fox News talking heads, being like, "Well, in Justice Kavanaugh, I saw my father, I saw my sons, I saw my brothers." I'll be like, if Kavanaugh was black, would you still see your fathers, your sons, your brothers? I feel like you wouldn't.
Yeah.
I feel like you'd be like, "Oh, that black justice nominee, gang rape looks like him."
Yeah, totally. It's riddled with, and I don't know. It's like, to the rest of the world, especially like I am not from the United States, so I live here now, but I have a lot of friends who are from different countries. And when they message me, they're just like, the United States is a fucking clown car now. Like it's such a joke. Like there's no, I don't know how people believe in, and also the people that freak out about false accusations also seem to have this very, very hilarious things need to be fair. And I'm like, what is fair in this world? That's hilarious to me because nothing is fair because you sit on the top of the pyramid and everything has been handed to you. And now all of a sudden you're like, well, things actually aren't fair. Where were you before when black people were being shot by the police? Where were you before when women were being raped and having their careers ruined and nothing was happening?
And the thing, and on the career, like people saying his career's ruined, it's like, it's not. No one. Okay,
he's on the Supreme Court.
The general movement was not fire him from his job.
Yeah.
It was just don't promote him because
Sure.
you know who didn't have sexual assault accusations? Neil Gorsuch.
Sure.
And he's on. It's not like we threw that out. Hey, you know who hadn't had any sort of accusations? Merrick fucking Garland, that nice old man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of petulant behavior, and it's very telling. Whenever someone responds to these things that way, I just like make a note in my head, like, okay, you're a prick, and it's a shame. It is a shame because this could be an opportunity for a systemic correction, and it just seems to now be an all-out fucking shit-throwing situation.
And on the prick side of the argument, because the pricks are such prick, it's to even bring up the concept of nuance.
Sure.
People put you in prick category.
They make you look that people also are like, oh, false accusations and worrying about men's reputations. You should want these men to go down. They make men look bad. You want these pieces of shit to go down and men who are good men to rise. Or like if you haven't done anything wrong, then you should be like, yeah, drain this fucking swamp of these pieces of shit. They can't be. They're not morally sound. They shouldn't be in positions of power. That's just a simple.
November 6th, everyone. Is that right? Yeah, November 6th. 6th. Number 6. 5-6. November 6th, everyone. Please go vote. Go vote blue. I'm not even gonna like veil it because this one matters a little too much.
Sure.
You just got to go do the thing.
The Republican Party, I don't even fucking know at this point. Like between that pedophile cowboy and this, I'm like, you guys, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't. You can't be fiscally conservative anymore. This is no longer a two parties with different ideals. Like it's just a full on.
I'm a registered independent.
Yeah.
I voted. I was a split, but I voted for Chris Christie and Barack in 2012. Like. This isn't about like a party, guys. This is just a simple one. Fucking Al Franken did a joke photo thing, and they said get him out, and we did. And then we brought up a different person. Like no, so please go vote. And I'm just gonna say, you gotta vote blue until they give us something worth voting for.
Reasonable.
Something
this is
reasonable.
no longer reasonable
because it's
like racist, sexist, xenophobic. Like it's I don't know. I don't want to make the Holocaust comparison because a lot of people no, but think about Bannon. Honestly, it's like this is you have to draw a hard line at a certain point because these people are complicit in a lot of really disgusting shit, and I think it's a responsibility if you can vote to vote against.
Someone vote for Andrea. She cannot in this country.
Please vote for me.
Yeah. And that ties a lot into my episode this week. We've got Alyssa. Remember Alyssa from the live
I
show?
loved her. She's so fun.
We'll talk a little bit more about her in a bit. But the topic of like hashtag believe women, it comes up, and I talk a bit about the nuance.
Well,
how like it's a great hashtag. Maybe not the most practical advice, but about setting up an environment where we even could believe a woman is more, I think, what Alyssa brings up.
Okay, well, here's my thought on that too, is that, of course, nuance is a thing. Of course, in a sexual encounter that goes awry, there's one person's version, there's the other person's version, and then there's what actually happened. But I think we're not talking about, in a lot of these situations, we're not talking about like something where something went a little weird or it's like one person raped another person in the workplace and the person who was raped has no recourse because no one will believe her. I think those are two very different situations, and that's why people get frustrated when you muddy the water because it's not about semantics right now. Like this is about a huge like systemic problem.
And that's why I'm not response tweeting everyone I see with hashtag believe women. And I think that was 3 years ago, that was the big thing I learned was even if it's not like the perfect thing being said, it's not time for me to interrupt right now.
Well, it's also like
I don't have to believe in whatever the exact everything is. I just have to not interrupt.
Well, it used to always be like a lot of the time too, the people go, what about the burden of proof? And what about, like standing trial, innocent until proven guilty? But it makes me go, okay, if someone rapes another person, like a person in a higher position of power rapes a female coworker, and only those two, there's no evidence, like no one's recorded it. What's the burden of proof? What proof?
It's the roughest crime because it's not like a murder.
Yeah.
If you don't go get a rape kit done right away and make a thing, and even then, but I'm just saying,
lull to that the police take anything fucking seriously.
Right. But it is like if you don't even do any of that, like really, what is the recourse? And it's unfortunate because it's a crime where it's hard. It's really hard to do it right for either side of it.
You do it right,
as in it's hard. Murder's like a thing.
There's a body.
Typically, there's a body. Maybe you got some prints of a thing. Right? There's something. Like I feel like you don't have that with sexual assaults. If you don't got witnesses, you don't have a camera, you don't have DNA inside of like it's so fucking difficult to respect due process and respect and give the victim a fucking chance.
Right. So that's what it is. It's like when people are like, it's like. These comments, I'm like, you've never lived in this world before as a woman. You've never felt threatened in this way. You've never been assaulted. You don't know. Sometimes people freeze after a rape and they stay in their apartment for 3 days because they are in a place of trauma. It's not like, okay, you get raped and obviously you gather yourself together. By the way, when you're getting raped, in the back of your head, you're always going, is this guy going to fucking kill me after this? Like, that's a thought that you're not. So you're not like, oh, let me make sure I can prove this is happening. In your head, you're just like, okay, this is happening. Let's hope that he doesn't then kill me. Like, you're clearly in survival mode. It is laughable to me when some fucking asshole open micer is like, well, then you go to the police and you get a rape kit. I have friends who have gotten rape kits and the police have lost them. I've had people go to the police and they have not believed them.
It's like, thank you, 26-year-old open micer, man. Thank God you spoke up. It's not like we thought about that.
What a good point. Thank you so much.
Man, I swear this entire podcast episode is not about rape, everybody. I swear there's other things we talk about. Rape and clots, baby. Sometimes you just need to distract yourself from the horrors of the world. You know how I like to distract myself in a not sex and love addicty way. Mm-hmm. Some good porn.
Good for you.
Some good paid for, ethically made porns.
Yeah.
And I like to watch a chunk of my porn. I'm realistic here. It doesn't have to be hashtag all your porn. Mm-hmm. Hashtag some of your porn. I like to watch at hotmovies.com.
Way to group your believe women in with your advertisement.
I did not know how in depth we were going to get on that. And then I was like, how do I segue out?
Yeah. You put me in a rage chamber and you forgot like I'm a wild animal and you can't let me run free.
Andrea, well, look, if I interrupted a woman about hashtag believe women, dear Lord. Not smart.
No.
But I do. We know I'm a fan of the hotmovies.com over here. Do you don't used to watch porn? What's your shit?
I think this is great. I have gotten into hot movies because
you did.
Yeah.
Did you use my code?
Yes.
I love you.
because well, if we're talking about like the state of the world, it's hard for me to watch a lot of the online porn. The woman looks not in a good place during it. I'm like, ooh, doesn't seem like she really wants to be here, or that this is made with her interest in mind, or that it's safe. And this just seems like ethically, I feel better about doing this. I love porn, but I want to feel okay about watching it. And this is just like a quality. It makes me feel.
What categories do you watch?
I mean, in general,
because you've seen the breakdown of the categories. No, I don't know.
No.
Fucking, if you go to next time you're on it, go to the category section. What do? Just search for whatever you want?
Yeah. I have specifics.
So next time, go to the category section. The breakdown is so niche and specific. Like, what are you searching when you're searching for the porn?
When I search for porn, I'm a BBW porn enjoyer.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm gonna go have sex again soon with an AVN award nominated BBW performer.
Look at you! Wow.
I did not know you were into that.
I have
What's that about?
What's that?
Yeah.
You seem so shocked.
I've never heard a woman who is not a BBW herself say, "I'm into BBW porn."
Oh God, I love BBW porn. I mean, I guess for me, I also watch gay porn. I watch lesbians. I watch like pissing sometimes. There's nowhere I won't go. Like for me,
Blood clots.
Sure.
Oh my God! Search blood clot just in case.
Okay,
I'm just
see.
curious.
Let's see.
Let's see what pops up. Oh God,
I'm
so nervous.
I also like.
What do we got?
Okay, so we have Blood Feud, Hot Blooded, Screw My Wife, Please.
And make her blood. Wait, click that one. Click that one.
Which one? Screw My Wife, Please?
Yeah,
or
because it cuts off the title. I want to see what the subtitle
what
is.
about Bondage?
Bound by Blood, Bimbo, Hot Blood. Hot Blood is Hot Blood, but Bound by Blood is a little intense. I want to know what the subtitle is for this one.
What, Bondage Blood?
No, just up at the Screw My Wife. Because
Okay.
you see how it cuts off?
Okay. Click it?
Yeah, sure. And make her blood boil. Okay. That's safer.
Yeah.
I was really nervous. It was going to be like, and make her bleed.
Okay, so for me, BBW or just like, I also love porn with, I like lesbians, but I particularly, are you recording me? I particularly like black lesbians. And I don't know what that is. It might be some weird, like, shitty fetishizing of people of color.
Or maybe just your preference.
It might. I don't know. I know. I feel like that's the thing with porn. I'm like, is this coming from a shitty place? I hope this isn't coming from a shitty place.
At least you're thinking of it.
Sure. Well, that's like I stopped watching porn where it was like stepfather shit because I'm like, I feel like I'm feeding into that creepy narrative of like older dudes fucking like teenagers that like don't know what's going on. There's something taboo about it, but I'm like, I don't know. I think I should stop watching this.
And you can check out some BBW porn, and you can like recommend some to Andrea. If you go to hotmovies.com/bonus, use promo code MANWHORE, you will get 20 extra minutes.
That's
on
great.
top of any package you sign up for.
And I can come in like under a minute, so that's like
That's like a month. That's a couple weeks worth of
amazing.
viewing for you. Yeah. Again, #pay for some of your porn. Go to hotmovies.com, promo code MANWHORE.
yeah. The BBW thing I do think is just I like things that are other outside of my sexual experience, like different from what I am. So I think that's what I like about it. I like I don't know
How the other side lives.
kind of. Yeah. I've never been with I've been with one overweight person. I don't know.
Not besides me.
You're not overweight. But
Before we get to my guest this week, Alyssa, it's time for the fan whore appreciation moment. Oh, yeah. This is the part of the podcast where I like to thank a few of the members of my fan whore community on Patreon.
Yeah.
What is Patreon? Andrea, how do you describe Patreon?
Patreon is how I pay my bills. No. Patreon's a great service if you are a fan of an artist, but podcasters specifically, if you want to contribute in any way, big or small, and also get access to bonus content or different to be able to interact with other fans of the show. It's just a way to become more engaged with the show that you already like. Like, for example, on my Patreon, you can give $1 if that's all you can give, and that's a great way to give us money. Or you can give $5 and get a bonus show. And I know Billy has a similarly structured thing, ways to engage more with him. Like I just think
we just did a bonus episode.
Yeah. I convinced Billy that he's a sex addict.
I don't know if you convinced me, but we dived into the topic.
Yeah.
And that's going to be available for all of my $5 and up fan whores tomorrow.
Awesome.
But right now I want to thank a few people by name because they are great for supporting me and for being members. So right now I want to give a shout out to Rafael Doyon. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Also, couldn't really find you, so I just searched your name, and that was like the picture that popped up.
Wow.
So like if that's him,
He's hot.
if Raphael, the person we're looking at, is you, you're hot.
Yeah.
If it's not, I'm sorry. I want to give a shout out to Casey Hine and Deanna Trickle, a couple of hotties that I get to see fool around in the Peep Show. Oh God, you two are so fun to watch. And a thank you to John Cox.
That is a great fucking name.
There's really not much that needs to be said about it.
Nope.
It's just, you're great. Your name's great. Thank you for your pledge. And you too can become a member for as little as $1 a month. All you have to do is go to patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast.
Wow. You have so many patrons. What a fun community to be a part of.
Yeah, what I got up there? 169 members.
69.
Yeah. Did we ever 69?
No, I don't think we did anything.
We did so much more than you remember. I don't know if you just blacked it all out.
I did black it all
but
out.
we
You fist me?
Yes.
Ha! God, that's so vile.
It was it was a surprise.
Did you fist anybody else? Am I the only person you
I
fisted?
fisted a good chunk of people.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's always a surprise. Very fun. It's just the thing is, like, if you get 3 in there and you think you can get a 4th, then you can just get the thing.
I think I was so horny because we were not having successful sex.
We had more successful sex than you care to remember.
Sure.
I think it was like 50-50. You seem to think it was like 90-10, and I'm like, no, it was like 50-50.
Let's meet in the middle.
Yeah. Well, this week's guest, I also did not fuck successfully ever. Mm-hmm. Never fisted her, though. But I've got on
Only
Alyssa.
for those you love.
Alyssa from the live podcast.
Alyssa was so funny.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, what'd you think of Alyssa?
I loved her. I actually... she's not a comedian, right?
No,
which is she was so fun and able to like joke around and riff with the comedians very quickly. All of the women on the live show were really funny. I also like how honest she was being about like, yeah, I just kind of like wanted to have you around.
Yeah, she's pretty honest. I dug her for that.
Yeah, and she's a very cool person. Is she going to Greenpeace or something like that?
Peace Corps. She's already left. She's in Africa.
Wow.
When she hears this.
Yeah, cool chick. I really liked her.
Super cool. I still like her. I was listening to it to edit the other day, and I was like, oh, why can't we date? You're so my type. I'm so into this. But she was fantastic. I thought it was fun. Did you, before you got on stage, did you interact with Emily or Alyssa at all?
Yeah. I interacted with Emily more.
Okay.
Because she seemed more nervous.
Really?
Yeah.
Do tell.
I think that she was worried that your fans would dislike her because I think she was worried that she had been like painted as a villain or perhaps hadn't been given the opportunity.
This, Hamilton?
Yeah, whatever. I mean, God, you're so dramatic. It's not like that far off that you would cry. I mean, oh God, during the show when she told the story about you running up to her and being like, I love you, and then crying and running away. Is that
I didn't cry and run away. I ran away, then cried.
Good, right.
Very different.
That's totally different. She did.
And then I got threatened by Lucky Luciano's great grandson or whatever.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, it's not dramatic. Mm-hmm. I'll say that. So I don't know. I'm a performer, so I think I was inherently more comfortable before the show because you and I have a rapport, and I've performed at a lot of live shows before. So I always like to, like, when I notice someone seems nervous, to try to make them feel a little bit more comfortable. Actually,
that's so sweet of you.
I'm a really nice person, despite all the things you hear. I have a heart of gold.
Yeah.
But it was actually funny. She was telling me about all the comedians that she had fucked, and a lot of, like, some of them are kind of famous. I don't know. All the girls also were kind of like she was bro-y also. Not Emily.
Alyssa, yeah.
Alyssa's bro-y. And she like didn't really seem to give a fuck. And I was like, oh, that's fun.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want out of a guest. Someone who doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Will be honest.
Yeah.
And we'll get into it with me.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. We're all out of your league, which is a common thing in your life.
Sure, I guess I'm hideous. But whiny Presido. So we got a great show with Alyssa coming up. I think you're all really gonna like it. After my longest intro ever. But
39 minutes, baby.
High quality though with the illustrious Andrea Allan. Don't know what illustrious means, but I think it's a compliment. But Andrea, before we get to that, just tell everyone one more time where they can find you if they want to come to your stand-up show this Saturday, the 13th. There will be a ticket link in the show notes. But Instagram, tweets.
Follow me at Andrea Comedy on Twitter. Follow me at Andrea_Allan88 on Instagram. Follow my podcast, The Hot Mess Comedy Hour, at that name at Instagram as well. Information on my hour stand-up taping will be there. And also, thank you, Billy, in these show notes. That is going to be Saturday, October 13th at Gutter. Doors at 8:30, show at 9. It's the first time I'm doing an hour. It's going to be so much fun. So follow me at a minimum, but at a maximum, come to my show.
Fantastic.
So fun.
All right, and let's go ahead and get on over to Alyssa. It's nice to have someone not shouting at me because I just fucking left a very intense situation in the park. I was playing backgammon.
Oh.
As I do. And one dude, and that pit, all those, Union Square, all the chess guys?
Yeah.
So there's also backgammon in there.
Okay, gotcha.
And, well, let's just say not the most, progressive of types sometimes in there. And so there's a lot of just catcalling in there. You really
sure.
you pick your battles on what you're gonna mention.
Yeah.
So you'd be like, okay, well, is this the kind of catcalling that really is benign or whatever? Because I hear the spectrum of it.
I bet.
And so I'm playing my game with with one guy, and then a dude next to me just said something I found was a line cross.
Okay.
Just hollering at some random chick, and then he freaked when I was like, "Yeah, don't do that." And he's like, what you say? I was like, yeah, maybe don't do that. They don't like that. Lost his shit. Freaked the fuck out. Started calling me faggot this, faggot that. I'm like, you have a limited vocabulary. That's adorable. I can't say vocabulary, but I have a decent one. And it escalated to the point he just tossed his fucking drink at me, tried to flip the table, threatening me. Everyone's telling me to leave. They're like, he's going to go get a hammer. There's a Home Depot around the corner. He's going to go. You should not be here. And then I think to how everyone's like, well, when we read the articles and the think pieces and the tweets, it's like, men, you need to go, you need to speak up and you need to call out things. And then I'm like, yeah, but there's real violence. Is this what y'all experience every day? Because this was,
I mean, on the regular.
okay, because I was I legit, when he walked up, I was like, I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna fucking be back. And I legit thought he was gonna go grab a weapon.
Well, usually women die like that all the time.
Yeah.
It happens a lot. And whether you say anything or not, there's scary shit like that happens to women all the time. Nonstop.
Yeah. Well, I tried to do my part. I don't know. It was just, my blood's a little boiling.
I mean, it's helpful to say something, but it's also helpful to know when it's not a safe situation anymore, right? You just walk away. You don't get extra points for sticking around longer,
Wait, I thought I got extra feminist points for a black eye. No?
No, it doesn't work like that.
Oh, shit. How do you pick your battles?
You have to be really careful about if you actually feel safe. That's a real thought to take into consideration. Mm-hmm. Am I in a space I actually am safe? Because there's a lot of places that you can consider safe and you're like, no, they're not enough. Not enough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, during the live show, and I should say right now I am here with the wonderful Alyssa, who you all heard a while back on the live podcast from ManWhoreCon. And I think the consensus right at the end was, well, Billy, you're stubborn. Billy, you need to be right. But I'm like, see, this is an example where me being stubborn and insisting on my position, was for good.
Sure, but that doesn't make that means that stubbornness is correct.
No? Okay.
I think there has to have some nuance to that.
Okay.
Situational, right?
I guess so. I don't know. Nuance is not my strong suit.
No, but it's something you could probably lean into.
That seems difficult.
It's called growth, my friend.
Growth, adulting, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. We were about to adult hard. You're fucking leaving the country.
I am.
You sped up my timetable on this episode.
Well, I wait for no man.
No, you don't. I'm gonna go save the world. No. But you're going off to join the Peace Corps, and
I am leaving for Morocco in 2 weeks.
Yeah. How'd you feel after the live show? That was you're not a performer type. You're a normal, healthy, fairly sane citizen who doesn't need the approval of strangers in a crowd.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't do it for a living, I'd say, but I think if you ask any of my friends that I've made sit through some sort of cabaret performance after I've had a few cocktails, like, I'm not sure if they would say that performer's not in my repertoire.
You do cabaret?
There's been maybe a time or two where I've put Broadway on Alexa and had, danced and sang
did your thing.
And, there's a Tina Turner and a Cher Rolling on the River duet that's happened a couple times. So just performing in a different way, I suppose.
How did we not work out if you love musicals? Because, come on, that's my strong suit.
Well, if a relationship is only based on musicals, somehow I don't see it going very far.
Ah. Well, you so you did the live podcast, and what was that experience like? You're on stage with two other women who you didn't know, right? You only knew like pretty much one common denominator about each other,
right?
And you knew you were going to go on stage and overshare to strangers. Like, what was that like?
I mean, it's an interesting experience because you're like, you have to like look back. It's been a while since we went out, and to like recall that was a bit. I had to be like, okay, like the smaller details took a little bit to like really remember. Because like, honestly, like when I think of us as friends because we became friends and that's what our relationship is now.
Getting invited to the Easter party was like the real nail in that coffin. Hey, you want to come to like my Easter party? Like I'm having a bunch of friends over and I'm just like, yeah, I got nothing else to do on Easter. So I don't think I can say no.
And I threw a great party.
You throw a great party.
Got to do an Easter egg hunt.
I did do an Easter egg hunt.
And many Bloody Marys were had.
I met a lot of people.
There you go.
I shook hands. I was social.
There you go.
Missions accomplished.
New things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like an interesting experience to like think back to that. But also just to be like, we make mistakes going through life and like it's an interesting thing to like look at your behavior. Like look in self and be like, okay, what I have done as we're talking about it, would I have done anything differently? Is there things that like I'm proud of that I did? Are there things that I wish I'd done different? And just to like have that self-reflection moment. Cause I don't know that we, as a society do that enough through relationships. Like I feel like you move through them and you're either hurt so you don't want to think about it or it was short-lived and maybe you didn't think there was anything to learn there or whatever it might be and it just kind of like continues to move and churn.
Yeah.
So it was like, I went up there and I was like, well, I hope I don't look like an idiot. And then when I was done, I was like, okay, I don't think you looked like an idiot.
You did not look like an idiot.
Which is
Definitely
helpful.
not.
So yeah, it was, first.
Yeah. And you brought friends.
I did. I brought quite a few friends, actually.
I had no idea you were going to be such a draw.
Well, you can make sure to invite me to all Man-Whore-Con events, I guess, and I'll bring a crowd.
For sure. Well, so have you had the concept of looking back at old things that we find insignificant in the moment when they end and then looking back to be like, oh, you go like, I said what? You go look at the text and sometimes get a little ashamed.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think that's human behavior, right?
Yeah. I've looked back at old texts many a time from random people. A lot of times it has to do with me being like, oh, would I want them on the show? Let me go look at what happened there. And then so many times, especially if it was, before 2016, so many times I go, wait, I said, huh? Billy, what were you doing, buddy? Why say that? You're being stubborn. You don't need to pick that fight. I do that often.
Growth, my friend.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so when have you had to do that?
Well, I think like as it pertains to us, like the late night texting was not one of my more proud behaviors.
I was proud of you for it. If I had just realized what the fuck it was.
Well, and also like it was one of those like I want attention, and when it came down to it, like nothing was going to happen. But it's not a cool thing to like also to string somebody along or like make people confused when I was very clear like what I wanted with us, which was to be friends, and like to give you another idea is not fair, and it was just like for own selfish reasons.
Do you know what the selfish reasons were?
Yeah, because I just wanted attention.
Yeah, but like, why in those, after midnight randomly?
I mean, that, like, I think it just comes and goes where you're like, oh, I want someone to, like, want me too. And I was like, oh, this is a conversation that I can have that I know that we care about each other, whether it's, like, romantic or not. So I was going to get that positive feedback that I was probably looking for.
And you also know the guy is interested, so you're like, well, like, Billy will give me a little bit of that, making me feel a little little cute and whatever. That
right.
night.
And that's not really fair either. And it was like, it's not like you were the only person I was doing that to, which isn't fair to anyone. It's one of those behaviors that I'm not doing anymore because it's like, okay, you look at this and you're like, is this the kind of person I want to be? And the answer is no.
So what is it? Just like you like in bed and just like okay?
Oh no, I was out.
Oh, you're out for this?
Oh yeah.
Okay, fine.
Once
you're
I'm
out.
home, I'm home and I'm in bed. Like there is nothing happening. That's the thing. It's like, oh, maybe. And then I'm like, no, I'm going home and I would like stop answering text messages.
So, but do you like do you mass blast like the half dozen or so folks
Oh,
will
it's like
give you
2, maybe 3.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not like
I don't know how hard you hit Bumble. Look.
No. But yeah, it's just like, so you look at that and you're like, okay, I'd rather not be that person. I'd rather not do that. But otherwise, there's not anything that I regret about it.
Sure.
Like, I feel like I was pretty upfront pretty quickly. As soon as I knew, like, I try, like, to give people, like, 2 to 3 dates because I feel like you learn a little bit more about people as you spend more time with them in different scenarios. So usually, unless it's like really bad, I don't say after like first date, like, no, I don't want to see you anymore.
Yeah.
So I felt like I gave it the time and was like, no, this isn't going to change. And I was upfront with you. And then from that, I'm like, okay, that all I feel good about.
Yeah. More people should go on second dates. I think so many more second dates should be had. Again, unless it's terrible.
Right.
Unless it's like, oh, Trump supporter or there's just nothing going on. But
right. But I do think like there's enough people that are so either like so nervous on a first date or are putting up this like first date small talk situation that going on a second usually at least helps a little bit to get a better idea, if not always, but at least a little bit better. So I try to do like 2.
Yeah. Sometimes the first day is just like exchanging trivia.
Right.
Like, I mean, like at I guess the base of my best first dates don't feel that way, but there are plenty of first dates that are just like, oh, we're just going to exchange like the back of our baseball cards.
Sure.
And then the next one will be a little bit more because we'll have all this context.
Yeah, totally. It's getting to know people, and sometimes people aren't great at that at the beginning.
Well, you were very great. You were quite the like popular person, just great at knowing people.
I have been told that I am a gregarious human being, so
I wish I was fake smart enough to know what gregarious literally means.
Outgoing, friendly.
Okay.
Extrovert to the nth degree.
Yeah, that's you. That's definitely you.
I know. I took my Myers-Briggs for the first time ever, like 2 weeks ago. And it was like...
Did you break it?
Extrovert was like 98%. I was like, so I told my best friend, and she was like, well done. I was like, yeah, but didn't you see that 2% introvert? Because she's an introvert. And she was like, yeah, no, I think that just might have been a mistake.
Yeah,
like,
I think that's the room for error.
Yeah. So I guess those things actually work. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Have you always been that way?
Yeah. I mean, since birth, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. It's fun because you had mentioned in live shows like you date a lot of bros, and that never surprised me because like you kind of really are like you're kind of like a female bro in a way.
I have some tendencies that can lean that way. Yes,
your bro-like tendencies.
Bro-like tendencies. Yes.
What are some of your bro-like tendencies?
I think like the over competitiveness. I'm very competitive, and then depending on the situation, can also trash talk a little bit back.
Yeah, you sometimes are. You can be mean.
I can be mean. I have to reel that in a little bit.
You're certainly. What was interesting about you was that like I see now that that's what that is. But what happens is it's not like that. Oh, she's being mean. It's that. Oh, like I can't tell if she likes me, and I feel like that was always where I was with you. Was like she's super my type, and I'm very into it and. Kissing, okay, cool. But other than the fact that we would make out, I had no idea where I stood. There was no sense of like, am I doing all right? Is she not really into it? What's going on?
That's an interesting observation. I've never heard that, but I find that that's probably true more than not, I guess. Which I think is partially my personality and partially probably in a dating sense, like having some walls up to make sure that this is going in a direction that I want and that I trust this person. So it's probably a mix of both. I imagine it probably happens more than I realized, but then things don't continue. So I don't hear that feedback.
Right.
But
not all the dudes you date have some podcasts where they call you back later.
That's very, very slim. So I think, that's probably a lot of it, but it's, being into like competitive sports. I love watching sports. I love talking about them. I think just like that, bros are known for being pretty confident. And I think that that's probably part of it too. Like there's some tendency there, which, everybody I guess should have that bro tendency if I had my way with the world. But
what, everyone being so confident?
Yeah, because I think that a lot of people skew on the other end of it.
Well, yeah, there's the humility, or even worse, the fake humility, because you're scared to feel good about yourself to others.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, people are like, oh, I'm going to feel better about myself, but only at home. And they're worried about feeling it anywhere else, because then they're like, oh, that person's an asshole.
Yeah. And I think that is a bigger issue for women than it ever is for guys. Because culturally, like, we're supposed to fit into these like tiny little boxes of you have to be smart, but not too smart. Don't be too funny, but be cultured, but not too much. Be pretty, but not overly sexualized, and like all of these things that you're supposed to be. And it's always like, and don't be too proud of yourself. Like, I feel like that's a big one. And that's a hard one that like my girlfriends and I talk about a lot, is like, we shouldn't feel like we haven't done a great job and shouldn't be afraid to say that. And like, we need to echo that for the women around us too, and not be afraid to be like, did you know my friend did this and it's amazing? And like, tell everyone that we can.
Get and allow. I'm going to say something potentially eye roll worthy. I'm more embodying people listening, or at least that's what I tell myself. So like these conversations, like these actual conversations you have where like, yeah, Jennifer, I don't feel like I can be, overtly like proud about what I'm doing or brag about what I'm doing, that I'm doing great things and I want people to know about it, but I'm nervous about people thinking I'm a bitch or that I'm full of myself or whatever. Are these like actual conversations you have with your girlfriends?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, and maybe I'm just really lucky that I surround myself with these amazing women who I can call my best friends, but we have these kind of conversations all the time about like what it's like to be, like, I have some friends that work in like architecture or finance, and like, what's it like to be a woman in a field that's very male dominated, and like, how do you make sure that your accomplishments are heard in a place that like sometimes you're very ignored, and like, what's that like? And how do we like champion and cheerlead for the people around us? But yeah, those are conversations we actually have quite a bit.
Wow. I mean, I think there's a lot of this that, especially like, I mean, I've experienced the not realizing a thing is a thing. I remember when, you would see on Facebook people complain about dick pics. They're like, what are you talking about? Really? Come on, dudes aren't actually just sending dick pics out of nowhere to total strangers. Come on. Then, I found a subreddit called Creepy PMs, and it's just people like posting the creepy messages and making fun of them. And I was like, oh my God, this is like an epidemic. We need to stop all the things. Yes, no, Republicans, Democrats, we need to pause the whole thing. We got a problem here.
Yeah, I think that that's like, anytime that like my girlfriends and I will tell someone like, oh yeah, we got like an unsolicited dick pic, or someone said this to me or sent this to me or whatever it is, there's always this sense of shock from like our male friends, like, oh my God, no way, really? And you're like, yeah, like this is probably the tip of the iceberg. You'd be amazed at like the shit that just is like said to you, sent to you. I can't even imagine what's said about us when we're not around.
Oh, I hear some of the things, and they cause fights in Union Square.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, but it's unfortunately the way of the world right now.
Right, and and I think part of the thing is like, it's not that. I mean, I'll speak from my experience, is that in my late teens, early 20s, mid 20s, whatever, even sometimes now, when someone tells me something's happening or a thing that happens to them, or guys say these things on OkCupid, the things are so over the top incredulous. They're the type of thing that like I would make up as an exaggeration of an action. So it's hard to imagine that the over the top example is the real thing. So it's like, we sadly kind of, I think, need to see the examples. Like, I need to find that thing, or I need my friends to tell me, not just a think piece.
Yeah.
And so I think that women like speaking up about that more is actually crazy helpful, because then one friend tells you thing, maybe that's just, how Caitlyn is. But when, 5 of your female friends are telling you the same thing happens to them, you're like, oh shit, this is a thing.
Right. But if Caitlyn's telling you and she's the only one telling you, you should still believe her anyway.
yes and no, but like if you knew Caitlyn, you'd be like, Caitlyn does like. I'll put it this way: there's a chick who I know who got into something happened with an ex. Now both of these people are very, very unlikable, very assholey in a scene that I'm in, and she had a black eye, posted a photo. He says she came at her with a knife. Now, anyone other than this woman, I'd be like, come on, like I'm believing her. But sometimes there's the friend where you're like, yes, if that sounds like her grabbing a knife and coming at you while you're both doing cocaine. So sometimes, yeah, when it's one rogue thing, it's so over the top, it's hard to just believe wholeheartedly. And I think because I think when you just hashtag believe women, like it's a great hashtag, but it's not always practical. Like,
well, there's an exception to every rule,
of course.
But I think that like with the Me Too movement and this happening, like the focus on exceptions is why people still don't believe women.
I don't think we need to focus on exceptions. I think we need to like just allow ourselves to use some more left brain than we're being told to use.
Well, I think that but that like bringing up those exceptions is still, we haven't even got to the point that there's a rule yet to believe women. You have to have a rule to believe them before you can have an exception to it. And that is not a cultural rule yet. So I think that it can be problematic to be like, yeah, I mean, yes, I believe and there's all that. But then there was this other time. Yeah, of course that there's going to be other times. There's this, that is part of life. And that will be like, these allegations that just came out about Anthony Bourdain's girlfriend with like, yes, we should believe everyone. She was assaulted. She might have assaulted someone else too. You can believe both. But I just think that it can be with this like, oh, well, you have to hear more than one story. No.
I don't use the exceptions to discredit, for me at least, I don't use exceptions to discredit other stories. I just say I like to take everything case by case. And I like to use my left brain a little bit more often than I think a lot of think pieces encourage us to do. Because if they're saying, no, you should just bare bones this, I say, I should just bare bones look at what was presented to me. You know? Yeah.
I mean, yes, you have to look at each case by case, but I think that as a society, we're not evolved yet to be able to do that.
Sure.
It needs to be where the baseline is believe.
In that, I heard that you called me kind of evolved. That's what I...
All right, well, let's take a minute and roll that back. Let's not pull things out of context.
I agree, though. As a society, we have to... there's difference between like what we do as individuals and what we as a society should be doing. As a society, we need to get more comfortable with the concept that these shitty, over-the-top things that we think no one would do that because that's ridiculous. And we have to become comfortable, or unfortunately, with the idea that like the ridiculous things happen.
A lot.
But a lot. Not arguing that. I'm just saying when people tell me, no, you just have to do this, I go like, no. Because, and maybe I'm biased. And I've actually been thinking about this over the last, like just this year in particular. Don't get nervous when I use this opening clause. I have been accused, not of like rape or assault. I've been accused of some things and that just blatantly didn't happen. And just like factually inaccurate. It's not even a thing like it's not even he said she. It's just like I say this happened. I have no basis or evidence for this, but I'm just going to say this happened because I'm mad. I'm saying a thing. Now, I've been exonerated from some of these things with the people who matter. The problem is that happened to me. And so I feel like now my vision on all this stuff is warped. Like, I don't trust my opinion on this because I'm like, whoa, the exceptions now happened to me multiple times in 1 year. And so that's where I'm at. And so I don't know what to do with me because I don't trust myself.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, well, it happened to me again multiple times in a year. So like maybe this, and I'm like, so I'm recognizing that and trying not to even ponder whether or not someone's telling the truth when it has nothing to do with me. Cause I'm like, I'm biased in that way.
Sure. And I think on the other end of the spectrum, as someone that was sexually assaulted, like I have to look at my own bias and say like, am I really looking at this in a way that is actually looking at what's happening and what people are saying? And, or am I looking at it from the color of my own experience? And I think that's important for everyone to consider. But as a larger just cultural norm rule, I think we still are a long way from moving towards like believing is the baseline. And I'm just always very careful about how I talk about exceptions to those rules, because I think it needs to be a rule first.
See, I don't want believing or not believing to be like, I don't want believing one side or the other to be the rule. I want the rule to be look at what was presented to you and make an informed decision.
Right, but I think it has to move to even get to that point. Like there's a step in between where the believing is happening, because to be able to look at the facts either way, left, it went this way, it went that way, there has to be an idea that you could believe. And that's not for a lot of people where things start. So to get to where, you are talking about it being, ideally, yes, let's keep moving in that direction. But I think there has to be a step in between where at least the option that there is a choice that people are thinking of before.
There's still people who are thinking, well, no, it can't, that couldn't have happened. And,
Absolutely.
And those people I say are wrong too, just like the believe everything wholeheartedly. I think both, because both aren't operating in the, I'm just going to look at the stuff. And,
totally.
Yeah. And I like that you brought up the, like, how your experience, like, can color it in that way too.
Well, everybody's experience is different, right? How you deal with it, how you deal with trauma, what happened to you, when it was, I feel like there's so many levels to that, and it's such an individual, personal experience and journey to get out of that. And people are always on it. So some people it's, triggering, some it's not, some can talk about it, some can't. It's so personal, and there isn't like a one way fits all kind of situation around it.
Are you the type that can talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, and that's just from years of distance and like working through it and being like really knowing like this was not my fault, and I feel comfortable enough to be able to talk about it, which I know is helpful to people that haven't been able to, and then feel like now they have an ally to talk to it about. But that's not everybody's position. And like, I don't believe in this, like, you have to talk about it. You have to share it. Like, no, there are people that can and there are people that can't, and that's okay.
Yeah, no, of course. No one's obligated to share shit.
Yeah.
How long did it take for you to get to that place with your own assault?
I don't know if there's like a timeline on it. I don't remember like this like light bulb moment where it was just like, okay, like I'm fine with how my life has turned out, and like this was something that happened to me, and now I can talk about it. There's not like a pinpoint moment. It just was like working, I think, just with growing up and working through like just everything that happens as you become an adult. And for me, that included working through that. And it's just, I don't know. I guess I can't remember. I've been pretty open with it since it happened, I guess, too.
Yeah, you brought it up on the first date.
Yeah, so that...
You either brought it up or, like, heavily alluded to it. Because you brought up your ex, and then I just put a couple pieces together, and I was like, oh.
Oh, no, it wasn't him.
Oh, it wasn't him?
Oh, no, God, no.
Didn't you have an ex that was pretty physical? Or
no.
different?
No.
Okay.
No.
You brought up a very shitty person in your life.
I mean, I had a tumultuous relationship, but it was not physical, and it had nothing to do with him. This happened in college.
Oh, so I read into that one all the wrong way.
Yeah,
okay.
No. He, like, that was totally different things. We just weren't meant for each other, and there were some issues, like most relationships will have. And it was a great learning experience, but there was a lot of love there, too. But no, not him.
What different kind of tumultuous was that?
It just was some issues that he needed to work through, and some stuff that I needed to work through on my own, and we just weren't. It was a toxic mix at the time.
All right. I won't ask you to like share like his beef, but what was your half of that chemical equation?
I gave up a lot of who I was to support.
You stopped fist pumping? What?
Well, I've never fist pumped. Let's be clear about that. That does not happen with the bro tendencies. Some self-worth issues. So I gave up a lot of who I was to fit into what I thought he wanted and what he needed. And it was just one of those things that like, no, I wouldn't give up my personality like that again.
Whatever part of this wonderful personality could possibly be at odds with a person. Did he need you to turn it down from 98 to 64% extrovert?
Yeah. It was, all the things that he liked about me at the beginning. It didn't end up that he liked those so much about me as it went on.
Like what?
Like being really friendly. Like there was a lot of jealousy issues with just me being super outgoing and
having guy friends, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that was problematic for him. And I made myself very small for someone else, and I won't do that again.
No, you shouldn't.
No matter how much you love somebody else, that's not, self-love comes first. So
Now, we all make all sorts of decisions and have certain thoughts when we're in love. That's all that, wonderful right brain goodness. But when someone's telling you they're jealous that you have guy friends, I'm assuming it's not the first time a dude has been jealous of you having guy friends, right?
No, that was.
That was?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just wrong all the time. Fuck me. But just the idea, do you ever just kick in the left brain goes what the fuck? What are you talking about?
It probably was there a little bit, but you can be pretty good at silencing things you might not want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted this relationship to work so badly because I was I love this person so much, and even if it's twisted and messy, I know that he loves me too. And it was you know what? I can make this work. I can make this work. I can make this work.
You hold out as long as you think you can.
Right. I was
and
digging in my heels. I can, I'm one of my favorite qualities is I am a loyal and to the end friend. And when I get in a relationship, that's the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that can go a little too far when I needed to get myself out. And I don't think I had the right tools. I started going to therapy when we were together, for my own stuff, working through some self-worth issues and whatnot. And that was building. And then after our breakup, I really dug into that. And I would suggest everybody go to therapy because I think it's amazing and it changed my life. And I went for a little while and then she was like, all right, you're good.
Really?
Yeah.
I always had a hard time figuring that out, how it ends. I remember the first time I went to a therapist as an adult. I told her, I was like, hey, so how does this end? How do you, or not even when I started, I think it was in the middle, it's several months into it. I was like, hey, how do you balance the incentive to keep someone on the line and they're done? Or do you wait till you have someone else ready to fill the slot? How do you balance the, your conscience with the checkbook?
I imagine if you're a good therapist that's not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in New York, I can't imagine that the list of people trying to sign up to come see you is minimal.
That's true.
But yeah, I don't know. We just went and then she was like, I don't think you need to come back anymore. Our sessions went less and less. At the beginning, I was going once a week, and then it was once every other, then it was once a month, once every other month.
So you're an actually well-adjusted human.
I don't have the diploma to prove it, but yes, I do believe I am a well-adjusted human now.
And you've seen the therapy carry over into your dating life?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and how so?
I just don't put up with bullshit anymore. I don't have this full need oh, I don't know, he doesn't seem that great, but it seemed like he liked me, so maybe I'll keep going out.
Mm-hmm.
No, not worth it. Not it's not something that I need in my life or feel like I need in my life. I'll date when I want to and I enjoy it. I'm one of those weird people that actually really likes it. But if I don't want to, I don't want to. And I don't feel bad about that. I don't feel bad about not wanting to give other people my time.
No, absolutely. Hey, Andrea.
Yes.
Oh, you're back. Hi.
I'm here.
We're here in the middle of the episode again because we didn't have enough of you before.
Listen, there's never enough of me in this fucking world. If I could clone myself, I would.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the best.
But you know what there is enough of, and probably too much of? Toilet paper, ruining the environment.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You want to know how to cut down your toilet paper usage?
I do, Billy.
Oh, get that asshole clean
Yes.
with a at-home bidet attachment. Get that water splashing up on your booty hole.
Do you know what I just thought about?
What?
This product is great for everyday life. You always want a clean asshole. But what if you're about to get a rim job? Jump on the fucking tushy, get it fucking cleaned out. Now you know for sure there's no baby wipes. You're not cramming it inside your asshole.
No piece of toilet paper kind of stuck.
That is a game changer if you don't come into that situation clean. This is amazing.
And we all know how at the ready Billy likes to be just in case someone wants to eat his ass.
Always be rim job ready.
If you see me on the street and be like, hey, Billy, I want to eat your ass, I am probably prepared.
Yes.
Or I'm a quick visit to the Tushy away.
That's amazing. Have you ever been on like a really fancy bidet before?
I've not.
Yeah, but they're incredible. And the fact that this is but they're expensive. Usually they come as like you have to buy a whole new
it's like a separate
toilet.
thing.
Yeah. This is so cheap and
easy to install because Billy did it. And we all know Billy's not good with tools because my ex-girlfriend built my bed for me. God. So I was even able to do this thing. It took me 3 Sia songs to install.
Wow.
That's how I measure time.
That
Sia
is.
songs.
That's a fair way to measure time. I wish that's what it was like all the time.
And these things are actually super affordable. They start at $69.
That's so good.
And
that's so good.
And I think for not much more, you can get one where it will also adjust the water temperature. Yeah. I don't have that one, but that's the one I want. Because I want to, you know what? My personal preference, little warm water.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So you can go to hellotushy.com. You can get one of these at-home bidet attachments. You get 10% off if you use promo code MANWHORE at checkout. Get it installed, and get yourself prepared. You and your Tinder date, can go home and both get your booty holes cleaned before you take turns 69 rimming each other.
It's gorgeous. Even also as a woman, say you have fucking period diarrhea and it's a mess.
I don't even know what that is.
We were talking about blood clots in the intro to this show. Sometimes your vagina is just a mess of blood and shit. And with this,
I could see that if you just like lean forward a little more. And also there's a
power wash the whole fucking thing.
Yeah. On the dial, there's a separate spot where you can adjust
the spray radius.
Well, it does not radius, but the positioning. Yeah, like high or low. Yeah. It's going. So you could turn it on, hit the booty hole, then you can just like nozzle it down a little bit.
Quick swipe.
Bend a little bit maybe, and now you got, I don't know how your anatomy works, but maybe you bend over a little bit and now you get the...
Billy's acting out trying to like get his pussy under the line of fire.
Look, I'm just trying to clean my pussy up for you, Andrea. I don't know why you're giving me shit about it.
I'll clean my asshole, you clean your pussy.
Fantastic.
With Tushy.
All right, one more time. You go to Hello Tushy, that's HELLOTUSHY.com. Use promo code MANWHORE for 10% off. Tushy, never forget about picking up TP again. Now let's get back to the show.
Bow.
Did you feel like it was an interview? Not to put you too much on the spot. Did you feel like when you were on stage for the live show, did you feel like it was an interview where you were just supposed to like wait for a question and answer?
I mean, a little, but I think that format, like it's a panel, like for lack of a better term, like kind of leans towards that. And it is like I hadn't been on the show before and the other 2 girls had. So like I was also, I guess, at a disadvantage of like how it usually works.
It was fine. It was just like I noticed like your answers were shorter sometimes where I was like, no, like more. We're doing a show, so you can do the long answer.
Well, yeah, and like battling to be heard at times. So
did you feel like you had to battle a bit?
Every once in a while, but that's personalities. That's the thing you date.
You're 98%.
Yeah, but you date women that also have personalities, which is great. There was no wallflowers happening, which is exciting. So.
Were you shocked that who else was on the panel with you? Like that they dated me?
I don't.
My intern like posted on the Instagram. She's like, "Can we all pause for a second? How did Billy bag all these like beautiful women?" And like, I had to steal my own Instagram story back from her and go like, "Hey, it's Billy again. Like, I have blue eyes. I'm sometimes funny. Like, it's not a total shock."
I guess I've never seen you out with anybody else, so I would actually have no idea.
I don't know. Just some people go like, I think one of the more common questions I'll get from dudes, and it's always dudes who ask, when I tell them what I do for a living, they'll be like, yeah, bro, these like women who come on the show, are they hot? And one, I'm like, it's an audio medium. Don't know why it matters. But he's like, yeah, but are they hot? Because like their personality only works when I listen to them if they're also hot.
Those visual creatures men are.
Yeah. But I feel like sometimes they're asking because they can't imagine who dates me. Which is weird.
Well, I think it sounded like the 3 of us all met you at different times. Like, I don't know. I never really figured out like what years everything was, but it seemed like different times of your life, at least like spread out somewhat, where it wasn't like, oh, I dated this person in August and this person in September. And then this person was December of the same year, like boom, boom, boom. So, I guess that probably adds to it as well. Like for most people, like where you are in your life and you look at who you went out with at that time is always different as comparatively to like other times of your life. So
How have the dudes you've dated over the timeline, how has that changed or morphed, if at all? Or am I an outlier?
well, I think you were in an outlier moment. Like, cause like right around you, I went out with a couple people that I probably would not have ever gone out with otherwise. Because I was like, okay, let's step out of what we usually go for and see if there's something different. Like, it's that like if you keep doing the same thing without a different result, what about that? Why is that?
If you keep dating bros, you're going to keep running into potential like Trump supporters, sometimes asshole types.
You can. So it's like, okay, I was like, all right, I'm going to go out with people that I might not usually, and let's see how that works. I mean, that didn't work out either, but it was like a good moment to be like, okay, I think it's more of like now you could like drill down into what about someone that I like, what attracts me to somebody. And I think before it was like, oh, this very general idea of like, I like bros and this is who I'm into. But it's more like now after, kind of going through this moment of like dating more sensitive guys and artists or, I don't know, just different people than what I usually go out with. I'm more like, oh, this is what I like about the people I usually go out with. This is why. Now look for this quality as opposed to this like general theme of people. Does that make sense?
Like you were finding that quality in these other types that they shared with your usual look?
No.
You were, because they were so different, they didn't have that quality, and then you knew, oh, this is the quality that's been missing throughout.
I think a little of both. Okay. Where you could be like, oh, I'm like connecting with this person. Why is that? Because usually they're not in this like general theme. And then you can really be like, oh, it's because X, but I also, I'm not getting Y, and maybe Y is more important to me than X, or like, I don't know. I think it was a little bit of a way to kind of filter through as opposed to like this general theme. Like people are like, oh, what's your type? And it's like a very overarching.
You say bro or
right,
whatever.
Like theme, right? But it's really like I am interested in people that are confident, ambitious, competitive, well-traveled, which sometimes ends up meaning that you have to have financial means to be able to do that. And so I think those things that maybe I wasn't looking at before as the real qualities, I was looking at it in a much more general way, was a good way to be like, okay. But then like looking at people and being like, okay, like it's also very important to me that someone has progressive politics. And that, so if I'm going out with this like general like bro theme, that doesn't always happen. So now I look for that and know to like, okay, just because this person falls under this umbrella of someone I might have liked as my type, I'm like, no, I like this about them, but this is also very important, and I'm unwilling to like say that, I'm unwilling to go out with them if they don't fit this category, but I can give up something else in that,
Well, naturally,
filling out the equation, I guess.
Right. Then naturally, what I'm going to ask is, what qualities did I have that you would be that you're normally into, and then which qualities did I lack that were very crucial, other than the chemistry part? Like, let's take chemistry out of the equation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Without chemistry, I feel like there was a lack of, not a total lack, but a lesser confidence in yourself, like a self-confidence thing that I usually go for. And I think part of that is just you have some self-deprecating humor, which is like your shtick, which is fine. Shtick, is that like a mean word to say? I don't.
Shtick it's a thing. You can say that.
I was like, I don't really know a better term for that.
Yeah, shtick is fine.
But shtick like sounds.
You also don't have. You also don't have to be nice about it. But yeah,
it's. I don't want to be mean. Even though we talked about earlier that I'm mean, I guess.
If there's a time to be mean, it's now, not on our date. It's on in this.
But I think the self-confidence, some assertiveness. Like, I think that you're sure of yourself in some places, but I don't, at least when we were going out, I didn't feel like overall you were sure of yourself and confident in yourself. And that was hard for me to like, get behind. And because I guess that for me is such an important part of who I am. And I want someone to be a partner for that.
Yeah.
Like, it was such a journey for me to get to that point where I really, truly felt confident in myself and wasn't just faking it till I make it. And so I need someone else that is truly, truly confident in themselves as well, because I don't know that there's still a part of me that worries I can backslide. Because that was such a, it took some time for me to get there. So to have someone that I'm afraid I might have to carry through that, I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah. And do you think, do you worry that the backslide will be because of a guy?
Yeah.
I can only imagine if you backslid in the confidence department, it would only be because of a dude.
Yeah. I don't see it anywhere else. But, so that I think was something that I was because we look at the world in a very, you're a feminist, progressive politics, those things were very important to me. And having an open worldview was important to me, which you have too. But I think it came down to this assertive confidence and believing that you were you, and being okay with that was my biggest concern.
Fair. I had this guy on, Nick Hawk. He's a gigolo. He's on that Showtime show Gigolos. I don't know if you heard of it. Anyways,
I have not.
He's a dude. He's a dude. He wrote a book, and he's we had an interesting conversation when I had him on about the difference between cockiness and confidence. And he's I want everyone to be confident. I want everyone to be full of themselves. He's it's just kind of the nuance between when it's cool to be very proud of yourself and out there and saying yeah, I kick ass. Mm-hmm. And then the difference between that and being cocky and an asshole about it.
Right. Yeah. I think cocky
which you were alluding to earlier when we were talking.
Is just being rude.
Yeah.
You can be confident and not rude.
Yeah.
And just be these are the facts.
Alyssa, do you have any questions possibly for me in regards to anything we discussed or from back then?
Yeah, I guess, is there anything that you feel you would have done differently?
Yeah, when I was in between your legs, I would have actually eaten your pussy instead of waiting for you to tell me to. Big regret.
Lovely.
Don't know if you remember that.
Nope.
But nope. We were back here. We went out. You brought me home. We we were making out. We got vaguely undressed. And then you had been mentioning, we were talking about it in bed. You were talking about how you're not very, you're not good at asking for what you want or verbalizing what you want. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, and this is the fucking stubborn Billy person who thought this was a cute idea and then held on to it too long to when it stopped being anything fun, where I basically kissed my way down, and so I'm there and I'm right in front of it, and I was telling you I'm not gonna do it till you tell me to, and then you did it. Which not I thought oh, this is gonna be yeah, I know. Huge regret. Should have just done the thing that I know I do. That's one of the few selling points. So
maybe that ended up better for our friendship. There's no weird awkwardness there. We're we made out, whatever. Here we are.
Yeah,
things are good.
You're not friends with anyone who went down on you once upon a time.
Now I'm trying to go through that Rolodex.
It's if you see my hoo-ha, that's not happening. We can't hang out.
No.
I mean, there's a couple in there here and there, but
sure. Yeah, no, that was the thing. It was like me, because first it was like, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to just try to tease enough that you'll be like, oh my God, finally, do the thing. Yes, lick it. But then what happened was that it didn't happen, and then I think you were confused what I was trying to do. And then I was like, she never going to say anything. And then I just kind of like, we played chicken, but like I was down there the whole time. It was like an extended, uncomfortable length of time.
Huh. I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
I'd had a couple cocktails, so that might
had a couple cocktails, and yeah, but distinct memory.
That's funny.
The one time I got into bed with you, I felt like blew it. But we've done that differently, and I don't remember. I think all this went down, what, like March, right? Vaguely. Oh, no, it was football season.
Yeah, so it was...
Oh, it was right before I met my soon-to-be ex.
It was end of last year.
Yeah. I had just started seeing someone, and then it got more serious.
Like November, maybe?
Yeah,
October?
that's when I met S, because I don't know what else to call them. But yeah, I met them like end October ish, and then we went out. So I don't know, but I do remember being like into it and wanted to. I remember not trying to want to fuck you. It was a very distinct feel. I was like, if all she wanted to do was fuck me, like, okay, just don't roll your eyes at, because it's an actual decision I have to make in my head sometimes. Because sometimes I'm really into someone where I'm like, if they only want to have sex and I'm really, really into them, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And as a thing, Billy's learned to do for himself. But I remember being like, I want to see if this like can go in a romantic path. I remember when you told me you were going to go to the Peace Corps, I had like a mini like, oh man, shit. Like, was that gonna be mean? Cause again, I was just like, this person is the type of person I would want to date. Funny, confident, liberal, doesn't have an issue correcting me, telling me I'm wrong. I need that, stuff like that. So I don't know.
I think it ended out pretty well.
I'm okay with it.
Same.
Yeah, we're on this couch. We had a great show.
There we go.
Yeah, we did good things. Any other closing thoughts?
I remember the polyamorous conversation being hilarious.
Oh boy. Oh god. Which was this the conversation of what my deal was?
Well, you were like,
I'm guessing
you like brought it up. I think it was like maybe our second date. Like, cause we went out 3 times, I think.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like second date, and you brought it up, but you brought it up in a way that was like almost incredulous that I hadn't asked about it.
Because it's in my Bumble profile. I put it in there because I'm always like, I need to put non-monogamous in there so everyone knows, so I'm not springing it on people who like when people match me and instantly unmatch me. I have grown confident in my looks enough that the first thing I think it was the they read my bio.
I don't remember that being in there. Doesn't mean it wasn't.
Anyway, but yeah.
But it was just like a funny, like, you're like, well, you haven't asked about this yet. So, and I was like, okay, that's because we're on a second date and I don't know if I like you yet.
Okay.
But it was just a very funny, you were like, do you have questions? I understand like your point of making sure to be totally open and like being there to share any insights, like for people that aren't familiar with how that works and whatnot. It just, there was a bit of humor in it for me, for you to be like, well, you haven't asked, so I'm going to tell you. Well, what do you think? And I'm like, we haven't even neared that bridge yet.
Sure. Okay. But don't you think there's something to be said of not like continuing, like, I mostly brought it up just because it didn't come up, whether through my conversation or you asking on the first time, and because I knew it was in the bio. So I was just like, well, she must have seen it, but it hasn't even like playfully come up like a little one-off joke, something, whatever. Yeah. So I was like trying to be like, oh, like I just want to make sure this was like mentioned, so that way it's not like 5-6 dates in and then it's like a huge surprise.
No, I totally understand the intent.
You were just like, slow your roll, buddy.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Even if I was monogamous, probably would have still said some sort of like slow your roll, buddy type of line, because that's the emotional fuckhead I am.
No, I understood the intent. I was like, I smart, good for you. Put those things out there. It just, on my side, there was a little bit of humor to it for you to bring it up and be like, well, you haven't, so I'm going to. And I was like, oh,
can't believe I phrased it that way.
All right. Well, okay. Sure. Tell me all about it.
Sure. But you still went out again because that wasn't a deal breaker.
It might have probably ended up being a deal breaker. Okay. I think at that point it was more like I didn't feel that romantic pull anyway, so It wasn't like, I'm not even going to worry about this.
Doesn't matter. I might fuck this guy, I might not, but like the poly thing doesn't matter then at that point. Okay. And we all know, which way that fucking felt.
Which way that went, yeah.
Yeah. Billy just staring at her pussy for 5 minutes before being like, I should come up and give up on this fucking weird thing I came up with. I don't know. What am I, your fucking therapist? I'm not supposed to try to get you to start saying what you want. That's not my job. What the fuck is wrong with me? Alyssa, thank you so much for, doing the shows, plural, and good luck out there in Africa.
Thank you.
Yeah. And why don't you go ahead and say goodbye to everybody?
Goodbye, everyone.
Oh, and just to clarify, like, there's not, before you leave, what, the 4th?
I leave New York on the 3rd, and I leave the country on the 11th.
And before the 11th, there's zero chance you're going to be texting me after midnight.
I think you haven't had a text after midnight for months now. It's not happening again.
Weirder things have happened.
That's not one of them.
Okay. That's fair. Later, everyone. Oh, it was, great chatting with Alyssa before she runs off to save the world. One more time, everyone, please go check out Andrea Allan's stand-up show this Saturday, October 13th at 9 p.m. at Gutter in Brooklyn. And if you're in Los Angeles, then I want to see you on November 4th at the Man Whore Podcast Live in LA show. Tickets available at manwhorepod.com/tickets. As usual, you can follow me on the socials. I am on Twitter and Instagram at @TheBillyProcida. Say something nice, say something critical, just say something, but use the hashtag ManWhorePodcast when you say it. I've also uploaded, granted I'm a little late on it, but I have now uploaded a full photo album from ManWhoreCon. So if you couldn't make it and you want to see all the fun we had, go to the Man Whore Podcast Facebook page and you'll see a cool photo album in there. If you want to send me an email with your comments, your questions, your booby pictures, send that on over to manwhorepod@gmail.com. If you're in the greater LA area and you want to join us for the meetup while I'm in town, also shoot me an email so I know who's interested. Last but certainly not least, become a member of my fan whore community on Patreon. Patreon is where only my most devoted of fans show up. You can become a member for as little as $1 per month. And that gets you access to bonus episodes and sex-positive discussion groups. And at a $5 level, guess what? You can hear Andrea Allan's wonderful bonus episode. All you got to do is go on over to patreon.com/manwhorepodcasts. Again, that's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. Next week, I've got on writer and transgender activist Serena Danyari. She writes a column at Mike.com called Transplaining, and I'm going to have another special guest co-host for the intro. You'll find out who he is next week, but until then, stay slutty.